In this video, I'm going to walk you through part of the practical task and also show you how simple editing, mixing, and digital audio processing can be done in Pro Tools first. We started with Audacity instead of Pro Tools because the interface of Audacity is more straightforward. Therefore, I hope you can learn basic editing skills in Audacity and then move to Pro Tools, which will give you more tools to be creative. Pro Tools First is a free version of Pro Tools. You can learn about the differences between the three versions on their website. First, let me describe the project I'm going to create. I want to set up an outdoor scene in the woods, so there'll be birds chirping and also ambient sounds in the nature. And then there'll be a conversation going on between a couple. The couple will enter the scene from the left, and then they walk from the left to the right, and then the couple is gone. Then it started to rain. That's my story. Let's get started. For project 1, I suggest you to check out sounds on freesound.org. You can of course use your own recording or other source of sound to compose this electroacoustic piece to depict the story. Now I'm looking for some nature sounds like bird calls. When I've got all the sounds that I need, I can start putting them together in Pro Tools first. The first thing you do is to name your Pro Tools session. You can uncheck this backup to cloud option so that Pro Tools will not copy your session to the Avid cloud. Then click Create. Now you'll need to add tracks to your session. Go to Track and click New. You can create mono or stereo audio tracks. Depends on the sound files that you need to import into the session. I think I need 3 of them, so I will create 3 stereo tracks. You can always add more tracks later. You can import the tracks by dragging it into the session. And you can zoom horizontally using the slider down here. And since I'm not composing this piece based on meter and beats, I will change my timeline to time here so that I know how much content I have composed. You can hide or show the columns at your choice. I usually hide all of the inserts and I/O to give me more space to work on the waveforms. The one thing that is unique in Pro Tools is the Smart tool. You turn on Smart tool by clicking on this bracket. With Smart tool turned on, when your cursor is above the center line of a track, the cursor becomes a selector to let you select a particular section of the waveform. And when the cursor is below, it becomes a grabber, so you can move the whole waveform across the timeline. When the cursor is near the end of a waveform and is near the middle of the track, it becomes a trim tool. You can use the trim tool to trim out silences at the beginning and at the end of a sound wave. And when the cursor is near the beginning of a waveform, then you'll see that the cursor changes to this little box with a diagonal line. It will let you create a fade in or fade out if the cursor is at the end of a waveform. Double click on the diagonal line to edit the fade curve. And the last function of the Smart tool is to crossfade. Go to the boundary between 2 clips near the bottom of the track. You can create a crossfade handily. So here is a session with 4 tracks. The first track is the bird call. If you click on this S button, you can solo the track and listen to just that track. And the second track is the ambience of the nature. So the bird call in this clip is from further away. The third track is the conversation. And the last track is the raining sound. So now the first thing I will do is to work on the volume of the first track, because compared to the ambience track, the first track is way too loud. Let me zoom in a little bit. So add fade in and fade out to the clip, and then I will change the volume. On this pull down menu, click volume. If you're on a Mac, press Command, and then your cursor will turn into a finger. Then you can add points on the line. Check the transition again. Then I will go ahead and do this to all the clips on this track, so that it will sound like bird sound coming from a distance. And then I will work on the panning of the conversation. I want the conversation to enter on the left, move across the scene, and exit on the right. Since this is a stereo track, it has pan left, that is the panning of the left channel, and pan right, the panning of the right channel. Repeat the same thing on the right channel. I would also like to work on the volume a little bit so that it creates a sense of distance.
Ui.
And then I will add reverb to the track to make it sound more spacious. Go to the mix window and insert a reverb to the conversation track. You can play with the parameters a bit to find the perfect reverb for your track. When you add an insert to a track, you can automate the parameters of that insert. I'm going to automate the amount of wet dry signal here. And the very last thing I have to do is to fade in the raining sound after the couple walked away.